Hello and welcome. I want to make sure we are recording. Good. This is part 2 of how to heal from narcissistic abuse. This is my guide for moms. I have a lot of other videos on my YouTube channel. Some are free, some are paid. And I just want to say that if I'm truly sorry if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist and have been abused. It's an insidious abuse with a narcissist, but remember, you're not alone. Have hope. Many of us have gone on to not only survive, like I said, but to thrive despite the years of abuse and problems a narcissist creates. Believe that you can recover lost parts of yourself, grow and transform your circumstances, and make better any awful situation. We have built in survival instincts as well as untapped potential that still lay inside of us after that relationship. We can evolve into the person we want to be and become for ourselves and our children. It's also important to grow into being the parent our child or children need. Keep in mind that it only takes one healthy parent to raise a healthy, well adjusted child. Make a commitment to being that healthy parent. At first, I did my healing and recovery programs for my young daughter. And after I built my sense of self worth, then I did those programs for myself because I mattered too. Whatever motivates you to focus on healing, use it and stay motivated. Find ways. You can even make a mantra to guide you. I simply used, I'm doing this for my daughter. So, hi, I'm Grace. If you're watching part 2, I'm here to teach. If you're ready and willing to learn, this is my survivor wisdom. I've written books on my survivor story, which is more like self help and tools, not so much the story of what I went through. It's trickled in there, but the tools that I had to grab onto from my research on all things narcissists, court battles with narcissists, narcissistic abuse. So, full disclaimer, this isn't a healing program that you can follow that is credited or scientifically proven. This is my story, my survivor wisdom. Take what you like, leave the rest. So, how to heal from narcissistic abuse? That is the question that we are asking and that you will have to answer. One key to healing is to have a goal, to be the healthy parent your child needs. It might be that you need to get out of depression or you need to stop being so anxious. So have a goal that will benefit your children. Get validation that you were narcissistically abused. This is my next section, but I want to pause here. Make sure you have sufficient boundaries in place with the narcissist and detach from any pity you have for the narcissist, because feeling sorry for the narcissist is one way to get sucked back into unearned guilt and for them to ruin things. Remember, pity is not love. Okay, moving on about validation, how important this is. For some reason, I discovered that we need validation for our reality to stick. It must be a social thing. I found it very helpful to have a holy witness to my suffering. Being validated truly was transformative. When I was able to affirm that my ex was crazy, difficult, disordered, and a nightmare, it helped. This is why one of the steps in the healing journey is to learn the terms associated with this dysfunctional relationship and disordered person. I caution you, don't go to people who don't get it. Don't seek help from non experts. Don't subject yourself to secondary abuse from well-meaning family and friends who don't understand narcissists and how bad they can be to the victim. The target of blame, as I learned to call it. Find someone to validate your pain, someone who knows narcissism and won't question the abuse as self-inflicted. One time, my best friend Debbie said that I was part of the problem because she was fed up with hearing how awful things were year after year with my ex and family court. Sure, we have a part to play and we will take responsibility for that so we can choose differently going forward, but abusers abuse. It wasn't my fault he was personality disordered. It wasn't my fault he drank. I uncovered a whole power and control cycle and a typical pattern of abuse that experts recognize happening to victims in a very predictable cycle. If left unchecked, it eventually ends with the healthy mom being alienated from her own children she is trying to protect. The narcissist psychologically twists the child's mind in some cases and is often successful. It's nuts, backwards, and crazy, so find people who get it. Key to healing: have sufficient boundaries in place and detach from the pity you have from the narcissist. Hi, if you don't know me, I'm Grace. A warm welcome to my work. I write for moms who are forced to co-parent and or stuck in a high conflict custody battle with a narcissist. If this is you, you are not alone. I work with moms in one-to-one strategy sessions to develop sustainable strategies. I teach my two methods, skillful means method and the gray walling method, to establish peace and protection. When I started addressing my issues instead of waiting for the narcissist to change, I wrote for women who loved alcoholics and wanted to break free of codependency. Back then, I had to break my own heart to break up with the alcoholic man that I loved. It was painful, but a wise choice. My books can validate what you might be experiencing and give you creative ways to improve your co parenting conditions. In my books, I include all my tips, tools, and strategies for moms to grab onto like life rafts. Sometimes it's solely about survival or staying afloat. Sometimes the idea of healing can seem so daunting and difficult, but that doesn't mean it won't happen if we get help for the struggle. I believe that there are healthy attitudes we can adopt, mindsets to make solid, sanity to hold on to, as well as beneficial perspectives to take that can help us endure this dilemma and survive a custody battle. We can learn to use what I call skillful means and strategies to navigate and neutralize the narcissist. Find my video program in the link below. I encourage you to learn all you can from my survivor wisdom because knowledge is power. Empower yourself with knowledge. Let my chapters be like self-help story medicine. My goal is to leave you with tidbits of wisdom and loads of encouragement to keep calm and carry on. Believe that you can endure this with support and be resilient in the face of the many challenges when dealing with a narcissist. The truth is that our love for our child and children is bigger than the narcissist. One key is to believe in yourself as a mom. See your good qualities. When you make a mistake, remember to learn the valuable lessons and all the pain and problems. You can come out of this smarter and stronger than before. Like me, you can 1, outgrow the narcissist, 2, become immune to his attacks, and 3, move on with your life to thrive. Better yet, so can our precious children. So use wisdom and lead with love. And a quick disclaimer, while I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, I do believe there is such thing as narcissistic abuse syndrome, but I have to leave that definition to the professionals. As someone in this field, I have seen victims of narcissists, including me, get affected so severely on such a deep level that it's traumatic, complicated, and scary, sometimes deadly. When I wrote my first book, So You Love an Alcoholic, which detailed my awakenings, insights, aha moments, and clarity, I was recovering from what I thought was chronic codependency and completely ruined self-esteem from being in a toxic relationship with a drinker. I didn't understand all the different types of manipulations a narcissist uses that can drive a person to doubt their reality and drive them systematically insane. It's creepy how all narcissists seem to have the same playbook of things they do to their victims to maintain control and create the narrative of lies. From what I have seen personally, narcissists certainly don't make for attentive, loving, caring parents or partners. They blame, shift, and justify all their self-centeredness. Children get neglected, go without needs being met, get their reality warped, have their wants minimized, and are often blamed. What's worse than the abuse we suffered? Many narcissists go on to narcissistically abuse their own children. This becomes a nightmare scenario for us moms who left, hoping to escape to safety with our precious children in tow. An important first key that I will share with you that helped me overcome narcissistic abuse was to have what I call a survivor mindset. This is the thinking that allows you to see all that you overcame as a survivor of narcissistic abuse. Write a list of what you survived. It's empowering. Now you are presented with an opportunity to not just overcome all the abuse, but to thrive because of it. I teach moms to learn, heal, and outgrow the narcissist in my books, private groups, and coaching. And let me ask you, do you see yourself as a survivor? Have you seen the opportunity to thrive when not being burdened and weighted down by being in a relationship with a narcissist? Can you adopt a thriver mindset and allow it to fill you with gratitude and hope for a brighter future no matter how dark your past? I've noted that those who move from victim to victor and are able to see themselves as being challenged by every problem get stronger and smarter than before. Those who see this as a test of their growth, stamina, maturity, stand the best chance of thrival. Are you ready to see yourself as an overcomer? Your perspective on your journey matters. See yourself as a brave, capable, equipped warrior mom, no matter how battle scarred you are. That just means you fought valiantly and survived. After my book series on overcoming a codependent alcoholic relationship, I created a program called the Self-Love Solution. I realized that a lack of self-love caused such a deficiency of love inside me that I looked for love outside of me in a male partner. I had to fill the void that I inadvertently created. I had mistakenly thought that loving myself was selfish and wrong, but I have learned that it's necessary for survival. When I searched for the secret to overcoming chronic codependency forever, I found some key factors that were absolutely essential. These 5 factors had to be operating at all times within me. Otherwise, I would be led again to my demise with self-sabotage and another relationship. Taking care of myself became my full-time job. So here they are. We have to think about these. No longer was I able to take care of a unhappy, demanding, self-centered man. No longer was I going to take care of an healthy, demanding, self-centered narcissist. I now had uncovered the secret to remaining solid, and these are: 1, self-sourcing. Think about that. 2, self-partnering. Think about that. Have you been trying to partner with somebody disordered? Who are you trying to partner with? Number 3, self-respect. Think about all the disrespect that goes along with narcissistic abuse. Number 4, self-preservation. You'll hear me talk about this as it's a must, an absolute must. For us to be there for our children, we have to be there. Self-preservation is a must. And 5, self-care. Because if we don't do that, we burn out. We're not effective. We can't help anyone if we don't help ourselves first. So there's a bonus, which is self-knowledge. Because if you're an empath or a codependent, what do you need to know about yourself, your limits, your tendencies, your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities? You got to know yourself. That's part of the journey. Now you see what is required to take full responsibility for your life, to not be susceptible to the tricks, tactics, and traps of a narcissist. I want to be completely honest with you. I don't believe one program can cover all the healing required to heal from narcissistic abuse. Haven't found that yet. I have found some helpful ones, though, that I do recommend at the end. Is it even realistic to think one program can fix all the parts of us that got broken or hurt or harmed? This is why I recommend taking a comprehensive approach and looking at the various facets that need to be healed and finding programs that specifically target those areas of a person's life. In my healing, I even went to money school program run by the local DV agency to heal my finances and financial devastation left over from a lengthy court battle. I encourage you to make your own winning combination for your needed healing. I polled the moms of my private Facebook group to ask how they healed and broke their trauma bonds to the narcissist. And guess what? I got 200 different answers and ways from them. My free video is, if you've bought this course, is in the link. If you've bought this on the PDF or the Google Doc of this whole how to heal from narcissistic abuse document. The power of the purge. Now let's move on. Part of healing from something is purging the pain, lies, toxic emotions. This is why I use journaling and writing my story to purge the pain, injustice, and family court failures. In many traditions, this is a required step after a dark night of the soul experience. I always recommend purging safely, which is why I write, share, and speak in a pen name. How might you purge safely? Many believe the purge is the first step in the healing process. We have to get all the non-truths out of us and feel our feelings. Many program friends and therapists have told me that we need a feel to heal. I have seen myself grow cold and numb over the years, subjected to slights, criticisms, cutting remarks, and name-calling tactics. I had to thaw and defrost for a while. Do you need to thaw? Are you numb? Are you bitter, resentful, or full of buried rage? What's a safe way to vent and purge those dark emotions for you? This is why I recommend finding safe support groups. When we get a voice and practice using it, then our purges are easier to do, quicker to accomplish, and able to clear us of any new narcissistic abuse aimed at us. We must get out of us everything that is not true. You probably have a lot to say, stored up and in, that you have never said out of fear of the narcissist's fragile ego, sensitivity, rage, revenge, and abusive retaliatory nature. Key to healing: make time and space for the purge. When you learn that your ex is a narcissist, when my custody battle, my custody case, and family court dragged on and on year after year, it was my second lawyer who told me my ex was a narcissist. When I went home after that long, awful day in family court, I looked up covert narcissism. I had to firmly grasp and understand that my ex wasn't just an alcoholic unwilling to admit a drinking problem. He was a personality disordered individual too. My continued research on narcissists led me to uncover a diagnosis that he also strikingly fit the bill for: antisocial personality disorder. I was terrified to learn that I was sharing a child with a sociopath. I became upset with myself that I had unknowingly been with a narcissist for 15 years, completely unaware, while walking on eggshells and being controlled by my fears. In anger, I held myself in self-contempt that I didn't realize that he was disordered to this extent. For the length of that tumultuous relationship, I knew he was different, but finding out how different really shocked me. I was angry with myself for years, angry that I was so stupid and ignorant. During that painful romantic relationship, I sought regular help, but regular help regularly failed me. I went to individual therapy for years, complaining of my ex's drinking, and my therapist never mentioned that my ex might have a disorder. Instead, she focused on my Al-Anonic issues, quote unquote. I was trying to control, fix, help, save, and rescue my boyfriend from drinking, but to no avail. The closest she got to uncovering the truth about my ex was when she had me read the book Look Me in the Eye. Things seemed relevant, but she failed to assess who I was dealing with and gave me unhelpful tools when I needed serious extraction from a toxic, manipulative abuser. What I learned was that people who don't understand narcissists don't understand how to help us. Key to healing: don't take well-meaning others' lack of understanding and compassion personally. Watch out for secondary trauma. Don't expose yourself to this. When my lawyer revealed this truth to me, I fired her, my therapist, and dropped out of therapy with her. I felt like she failed to diagnose the situation and just perpetuated self-blame by picking apart my behaviors and thinking. From that point on, I instead went to a local domestic violence agency to get help for post-separation abuse and deal with the years of legal abuse and abuse by proxy. I was finally able to admit that my ex was abusive in so many covert ways that they were hard to define and articulate. I wrote about this abuse and to raise awareness when I realized I was being subjected to what I call quote unquote co-parenting abuse. You can read that blog on my website. My DV counselor was so helpful in helping me rebuild my sense of self and safety. She helped me step into the truth that I hadn't realized or wanted to admit. I was being abused, manipulated, and gaslighted by my toxic ex. We identified that he used a special blend of narcissistic tactics, which included gaslighting, feigned self-pity, blame shifting, scapegoating, and coercive control, just to name a few. She helped me realize how I got stuck in cognitive dissonance, self sabotage, desperation, and unearned guilt. I realized with her caring sessions that I lost my power in that relationship. Learning these new terms of abuser tactics truly set me free. I was able to see how in my childhood I was scapegoated by an altruistic, covert narcissistic father. Hmm, interesting. So some of his tactics were familiar. As an adult, I failed to recognize these as toxic. My ex was even doing the same types of covert abuse tactics to me after we broke up. I was dismayed to realize that I gravitated to familiarity and thought all the verbal slights were rolling off my back. I wish. Instead, they were embedding in my subconscious and growing like dark weeds. I had to become a mindful gardener and pull the weeds out daily and plant flowers and fruit trees. So that when I was in a crisis, next time, those awful implants of negativity didn't play in my mind. With the power of choice and awareness, I could harvest the fruit from my planting of pillars of support. I began internalizing the new healthy words of my mentors, coaches, DV counselors, and sponsors and program. This is why I stress that moms get a team of support. I had to be careful who I involved myself with and surrounded myself with at my most vulnerable stages and states. Making conscious, healthy choices was my new personal challenge. I had to stop gravitating towards narcissists. I saw how they seemed immune and confident about things, but that was just their inherent lack of caring and true concern for others. It wasn't a strength they displayed no matter how tough an exterior, it was a weakness. It was not helpful to be dealing with multiple narcissists at the same time. So find a way to extract yourself for healing's sake. Stop gravitating towards narcissists. After that dreadful relationship, I had a new mission to heal from codependency, trauma bonds, and narcissistic abuse. I had worked in a personal program of recovery in Al Anon for a 12-step group for friends and family of alcoholics for over 20 years, and a program of ACOA, adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families, for about 5 to 7 years. I even began a CODA program, Codependence Anonymous, another 12-step program. These programs gave me a foundation and helped me find a loving higher power that I lost sight of in my upbringing as a Roman Catholic. This surrounded me with others who were trying to help themselves. I combined these programs with individual confidential therapy to help me set boundaries with others, vent, and focus on my life instead of his sinking ship. However, nothing really hit the button of truth and set me free until I uncovered narcissistic abuse. Learning the tactics, tricks, and traps of a narcissist and labeling them, as well as having the awareness he was a liar, fraud, and fake, helped me not to take anything he said personally or seriously ever again. Not taking his abuse personally, realizing he would do the lying and abuse to any unsuspecting sweet victim of his, helped me tremendously. By taking a higher perspective and learning about the empath narcissist dynamic, I stopped making this a personal issue. This new awareness fit nicely with the coinciding truth that I uncovered in the codependent alcoholic dynamic. I had taken ownership of my side of the problem, toxic codependency, and identified this dynamic in my first 3 books about loving and leaving an alcoholic. The truth set me free to heal what it was exactly I was suffering. I was suffering from narcissistic abuse, and I needed to know this because the effects are so toxic when sweating out an addiction to this type of person. The other truth was that I needed more than what those programs offered for my healing. However, I definitely needed those programs for a foundation in boundaries, detachment, knowing my strengths and weaknesses, and getting a voice. Key to healing: we have to heal the wounds a narcissist creates. We take control. We get in the driver's seat. Since the fear I was dealing with ran so deep and was so tangled in a web of lies and confusion, it was going to take time to untie the knots. I had trauma bonds with the alcoholic narcissist. Just learning that term gave me hope that I could cut ties and heal for good. The typical pattern in our relationship was he would cheat on me, found new supply when he burnt me out of my attention, then come back and seemingly repair my shattered self-esteem by coming back. This so-called relief would bond me to him in some strange way. Unfortunately, I would become rehooked. In a false way, his return seemed to fix my broken heart that he, the narcissist, actually broke. I learned never look to your abuser to heal the wounds he creates. Before I knew what my healing would take, I never took personal responsibility for my healing. I never took my power back to heal from his lies, betrayal, and injustice. Mistakenly, I waited for the narcissist to change, see my value, return, and fix me. I realized that this energetic subconscious tie to the narcissist via trauma bonds was a serious problem for me. In my programs, I would say the alcoholic is addicted to the alcohol. This is a general saying. The alcoholic is addicted to the alcohol, and we are addicted to the alcoholic. At one point, after complaining to my grandfather, who was in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and sober in recovery for 37 years, he said, "Sweetheart, you're sicker than the alcoholic." I was taken aback. He said, "He's drinking and doing those crazy things, and you're not on any substances and doing more crazy things." His words spoke to me. They woke me up to what I was doing to myself. I had gone mad trying to help a madman. I was driven crazy by his lies, gaslighting, and crazy making. In hindsight, I now see that it was all to control me with confusion. I was confused beyond belief. I never got a straight, solid answer from him. He was never forthright and transparent with information or details or the truth. I wasn't maintaining good boundary function. I wasn't practicing self-preservation. I wasn't focused on my life. Rather, I was completely absorbed and focused on the narcissist. I was on my own sinking ship of self-betrayal. I was desperately trying to get a healthy relationship from an unhealthy, toxic, personality disordered man. Where was the common sense and logic in that? Truth, clarity, labeling the lesson, and getting expert help for narcissistic abuse was what I needed to heal fully and completely. My recovery would take more than all three of those excellent 12-step programs I was in. You can read my blog or watch my video, How to Break Trauma Bonds, if you love an alcoholic or narcissist. If you know my story, I ended the 15-year off and on relationship with the alcoholic narcissist on my terms before I learned I was pregnant. He coerced me, or shall I say, allowed myself to be influenced. He used competition, aka another girl, another supply. In my sad desperation to save the relationship, I was coerced into trying for a baby because he told me that the other girl was ready, willing, and able to give him a child. He used reverse psychology on me and said that I was never going to be ready, and that, quote unquote, my eggs would probably dry up because I was waiting too long to have kids. Well, I went off birth control to prove him wrong, but I couldn't get pregnant fast enough, and my OBGYN doctor wouldn't do fertilization treatments until we tried for a full year, and we were not married. So in 6 months of no success and maybe one not diagnosed miscarriage, I decided it was crazy to try to have a kid to keep my man. Bravely, with my program knowledge, I ended the codependent alcoholic relationship for the first time ever on my terms. I did it in person because I had a strong resolve. I was in a depression that what I call a codependent bottom, aka trying to have a child with a known active alcoholic. This was low for me. This was a new low for me. Our path pattern was broken with my strength. I had to break my own heart to break up with the man I loved. Usually he would cheat on me and be the one to disappear and ghost. However, this time I wanted to take a stand for what would be the rest of my life, even though I feared loneliness and never loving anyone the way I loved him. He was hesitant to leave and worried. He asked, "What if you're pregnant?" And I assured him I had my menstrual cycle and I could show him proof if he wanted. I finally detached with love. Love for him and myself. In grieving the depths of the relationship and my failures, I cried for 3 straight months. Then my grandpa, with all his AA wisdom, passed away. For healing, I wrote my lesson learned in my first book, So You Love an Alcoholic, hoping that my lessons would help other women who loved alcoholics to leave, preserve their dignity and self-respect, and most importantly, get sane, not bring children into the situation. However, 3 months later, still being sick with the quote unquote flu and unable to go to work, all while having my menstrual cycle, a friend of mine asked if I could be pregnant. And yep, miraculously I was. As you might imagine, this sent me further into confusion and a deep depression as I agonized about having an abortion or not, and whether to tell my ex or not, who I hadn't seen in 3 months, and assumed he went on to live with the happily ever after other girl, the other woman who was a single mom and already had a child. I suffered from pangs of jealousy as I imagined her to be perfectly able to give him kids he wanted, unlike me. Note, I do write and speak in a pen name to protect all involved, which is why I'm able to tell you these details. But we all know the outcome of my story. I wrote my true survivor story down in several books, which reads like a series. No, I did not get an abortion. Instead, I had the child thinking I would protect her from her alcoholic father, not understanding parents' rights or the incompetent, inadequate, unfair, sometimes corrupt U.S. family court system. I had to live out my worst nightmares of watching my baby be buckled into an alcoholic's truck for unsupervised parenting time. For her safety, I fought in family court while I lived on assistance programs, but at that time, I was not able to retain a good enough attorney. And in one round, I lost custody due to the narcissist legal abuse and other tactics. I then had to file for more assistance and retain a better lawyer to win back all my rights using expert guidance and tons of help. I needed a team of support holding me up emotionally, mentally, and psychologically from a war I had to fight. I did more educational programs on communication, read dozens of books, watched hundreds of videos to then put together a strategy to survive a sociopath and keep my kid alive. I underwent so much legal abuse, including 3 biased GAL reports, 2 psychological examinations, a 5-day trial that spanned 2 years and took 3.5 years to get to, endured crazy false allegations of Munchausen's by proxy, and had to get 5 pediatricians that kept resigning from my daughter's care. And to top it off, I endured 7 months of co-parenting therapy, court-ordered, with my ex, the narcissist. The whole drama lasted 12 years before I developed my own strategies and methods like my skillful means method and my grain walling method to turn from being the narcissist, TOB, target of blame, to this neutral non-threat. Read all about this in my blogs. The 5 factors that make the narcissist stop, how to communicate with a narcissist using my skillful means, or 25 key phrases that can neutralize the narcissist when co-parenting or in a high conflict custody battle. Healing happens. The change and growth in me didn't happen overnight. Actually, it went in phases, got to different levels, and took significant time. The transformation of my high conflict custody battle with a narcissist needed things implemented like legal strategy, strategic documentation. My recovery and family court went in phases too, including but not limited to separating completely, maintaining boundaries, standing up to the narcissist, only with the lawyer, counterattack, using leverage, only with the lawyer, having an offense, not a defense, offering peace and cooperation. What I now think is true about narcissistic abuse healing is that it can take many years. It has to be ongoing, and it needs a multidisciplinary approach with several modalities that target different aspects of the healing needed. Part of my healing was facing my failed court case and staging a comeback. Ask yourself, what phase am I in? I learned that we have to heal on multiple fronts. For example, we have to heal at the mind level, which means understanding the abuse and what a narcissist is. Emotional level, which means fully grieving our many losses. Psychological level, understanding the abuse tactics we fell for and succumbed to. The physical level, getting out of fight and flight stress fear mode by doing some somatic work. The social level, re-adding ourselves into society and safe groups and making new friends, even allies. Financial level, to learn to live within or below our means, because there's an energy vampire that can cost us money in the courts and other legal matters. Stop taking narcissistic abuse personally. The key to healing: don't take the narcissistic abuse personally. When you're being attacked by a narcissist, just think to yourself, this is a narcissist doing what a narcissist does. Begin to see this both impersonally and archetypally. It's a pattern that plays out in a person. There's a typical reactionary dynamic that plays out between people too. Everything a narcissist does and doesn't do is part of their character traits and personality disorder. A narcissist does what they do. Abusers abuse. Liars lie. Narcissists act like narcissists. To heal, I realized that I had to change my mindset. Stop taking his abuse personally. Adopt some guiding principles, like what I call self-rules in my first book. Gather a team of support and be the change I wanted to see. I led the way to a more amicable and civil co-parenting situation by using skillful means. Buddha teaches that. And nonviolent communication approaches. Another expert teaches that. And so there are some groups. After I saw this wasn't a personal issue, I learned to speak the narcissist language and talk in ways that served/interested him so he would listen. The basic premise I clung to was the narcissist could do better behavior. Why did I think this? Because every time he love bombed me, hoovered me back into relationship by breadcrumbing me, he would act like a knight in shining armor and play the hero, rescuing this damsel in distress from loneliness and other inadequate men. No, I didn't say I could change the narcissist. I just saw that he could do better, even if for short periods of time, to put on a good show for a new person or the courts or the judge. So I knew he could be a better co-parent if only he wanted to be. But back then, he had no motivation for that. He was getting narcissistic supply through negative means, and it was still fuel for him. I noted that he was often playing the Disney dad and would buy our child expensive gifts while not paying his basic child support. The narcissist may not be capable of changing who he is as a personality disordered person lacking empathy and a conscience, but he could change behavior to impress people or to get away with things. So I worked with that fact rather than lose all hope. I had to lower my expectations of what co-parenting with a narcissist would look like and instead focus on what mattered most: our child's health and safety. Would I get fairness from an unfair person? No. I accepted reality and moved into damage control mode. One of the tips that I always give my mom clients in my private coaching practice is to focus on their healing. Don't have your child for a night or a weekend, then go to a recovery program meeting, go to therapy, go to DV counseling, go to the gym. Use that time wisely for your healing. We need lots of healing time and focused time. That includes venting to someone who's a good listener. You don't need unsolicited, unhelpful advice from someone who doesn't know narcissists, but you probably need a good listener. Sharing to a safe, confidential person, a professional, like a qualified therapist. De-stressing in ways that work for us, exercising in ways that we enjoy, socializing in ways that are healthy, and educating ourselves in all things narcissist and narcissistic recovery. Another tip I give moms is to educate themselves on narcissist and abuse tactics, because knowledge is power. When we wake up from any spells that the narcissist has put us under, they lose their power to control us. That's why clarity is so key. Below, I will give you 25 keys to healing from narcissistic abuse as you listen and read on. One key to healing is fully grieve our many losses. It's part of the healing process from narcissistic abuse. Like I said, I can't tell you and won't tell you how to heal exactly, because I believe it's very individual, like grieving. And just side note, some 12-step meetings were helpful. I had to find different ones, find ones that were safe, especially if there was someone dominating a meeting or giving out unsolicited advice. The way that you heal may not be the way another person heals. The identified steps to grieving are often taken in various orders based on what's happening in the person's life. There's some steps to grieving, like shock, denial, anger, before you ever get to acceptance. And just like the 12-step programs have 12 steps, sometimes people recover by doing different steps at different times as they feel ready. They don't always go in order from step 1 to step 12. They may do a personal inventory in step 4, but then go back to step 1 to admit a problem and acknowledge their lives are unmanageable. So with healing steps, my recommendation is to not be too concerned with what steps you start with, as long as you are taking steps and living one day at a time, narcissistic abuse free of the narcissist. We have to make the healing process manageable and not overwhelming. We also have to be patient with ourselves. For example, we may not be ready to fully grieve the loss of a dream, like the family we wanted or the house we wished for or worked for, but we can educate ourselves on narcissists, get to a personal recovery meeting, online or Zoom, journal, and exercise daily. Do what you can with where you are at. So, the 25 ways to heal from narcissistic abuse. I believe that the very first step to healing from narcissistic abuse is to get away from the abuse and the abuser. I learned to block all access in a method I call castling and curtaining or gray walling. I needed a self-created fortress of protection. I believe narcissists may be why castles were originally built in the first place throughout history. It's nearly impossible to heal a wound that keeps getting broken open. Strong scar tissue has to form fully and surround and seal up the wound. Similarly, it's too difficult for most to be marinated in a toxic relationship with a narcissist and heal from narcissistic abuse. If you are temporarily feeling stuck, you can still get your ducks in a row by silently implementing support systems in place or learning where to go for help. You can also educate yourself, which is one of the main steps. There are free resources online, like in my blogs or YouTube channel. One key to healing from narcissistic abuse is to lean on the self. It means being 100% responsible for the self and not looking to the narcissist for any of our own supply in the form of approval, appreciation, adoration, attention, entertainment, company, companionship, or otherwise. This means doing the necessary self-work to get clarity and freedom. This means self-sourcing, self-preserving, self-respect, self-love, self-care must come before and over any romantic relationship. We have to learn to have a loving, healthy relationship with ourselves. We have to embrace solitude and learn to self-partner over trying to get a partnership with another. Have you taken time off from relationships? At one point, I forced my codependent relationship-seeking self into take 9 months off of relationships to birth a new relationship with me, myself. My sponsor suggested that I date myself, and I thought it was absurd, but it was such a helpful suggestion. I learned to enjoy my own company at restaurants, movies, and I did what I like to do. Learned what I like to do. Would you be willing to take time off of romantic relationships and partnerships so that you can put more focus on being solid, secure, and comfortably you? Active healing from narcissistic abuse takes self-work. Are you just waiting around for healing to spontaneously happen, or are you taking steps? Are you being too passive with your process? Have you made any progress towards feeling better and being better after narcissistic abuse? We can take a proactive and scheduled approach to our healing. You can schedule meetings. We don't have to just wait around year after year hoping the effects of the abuse wear off. However, it's essential to take a break and completely stop and rest. It's very often essential. Many spiritual teachers teach about how depression can simply be the need for deep rest. No, not in all cases. Please speak to your healthcare provider if you have symptoms of depression. If you do, please don't blame yourself. Many of our reactions and responses are just normal reactions to abnormal people. Remember that when you begin actively healing from narcissistic abuse, you are working with your vulnerable, scared, toxic, fearful self, which needs your self-compassion, patience, and gentleness. You will be reestablishing trust with yourself as you stop self-abandoning. A clean out of the narcissist's garbage and toxic influence will require a total cleanse of your mind, body, spirit, and soul. There will be mental knots to untangle from the emotional entanglements and illusions you had tied to the narcissist. As you might have experienced, there's nothing a narcissist won't attack about a victim. So you may have many wounds to close up and things to get straightened out mentally. And most likely you will have to painfully detach from not just the narcissist, but the dream you held of a family with him in the private chambers of your heart. Note, there is some good pain in life, like that of ripping away a leech from the body. Key to healing: take an active approach to your healing rather than wait for the healing just to happen to you. A first step in the self-education process is to learn what these terms mean. Identify how they were used against you. Get your notebook out. Learn from reputable therapists and not just self-educated victims on social media. This can give you the validation and the understanding you need. 11 terms to know when dealing with a narcissist. 1, do you know what gaslighting is? 2, narcissistic supply. Do you know what that is? Find out. 3, coercive control. Can you understand that concept? Look up the definition. You can pause this video at any time. 4, cognitive dissonance. Very important. You can have 2 thoughts at the same time, 2 opposing thoughts about a person at the same time in your head, and get so bogged down in confusion that you don't make any healthy choices or practice self-preservation. Learn about cognitive dissonance. Codependency. Look up that definition, read a book on it. Very helpful. Learn what love bombing, hoovering, breadcrumbing, and all those tactics that narcissists use to get your attention and to bring you back under their control and manipulations. 7, blame shifting, flying monkeys, minions, poisoning the well tactic. They can do a lot of damage. Do you know the names? If you've got people going against you, they could be flying monkeys and minions. He could be poisoning the well ahead of time wherever you go, claiming that you're crazy. 8, abuse by proxy, using others to abuse a victim or target a blame. And I'd even add target a blame. Look up that, the TOB. You don't want to be that. There's ways to get out from under the target of blame. It takes skill. Number 9, duping delight. Some fun that sociopaths enjoy. They enjoy duping others. 10, passive aggressiveness. Or look up covert narcissism or ASPD. And 11, post-separation abuse, or look on my blog about co-parenting abuse tactics. Get the list, read about that, know if that's happening to you. Commit to offering yourself self-compassion for your whole healing journey. Key to healing: self-compassion is essential. Even though you're educating yourself about what transpired between you and the narcissist, I encourage you to take the focus off the narcissist entirely, shift your attention and focus on self-care and childcare. Please, for your sake, stop all comparisons. Refrain from looking at the narcissist's life, new supply, and life choices or purchases. This is self-harming behavior, and you must catch this and end it immediately. Note, there are a few exceptions to this if child safety is involved and your lawyer needs screenshots and evidence of neglect or a psychopathy. If that's the case, you can limit your time to 1 to 2 hours. You'll have to have self-boundaries a week. Make it designated times to review posts for evidence, for custody hearings or trials, but don't become obsessed. Being concerned is better than obsessed. Simply document and do your due diligence as a parent. And if this becomes too harmful to look at all, it might be wise to recruit 1 to 2 close confidants to inform you if there's anything major so that you can live your life focused on your life, not the narcissist. Too many moms fall into that dark hole of watching the narcissist move and skip on into the happily ever after, the next false life he creates. I invite you to read my gray walling method first to understand self-boundaries, because a mother has to know her limits and a woman has to know her limits. Honor and respect any limitations you have at the moment. If you're in a deep depression and it's dark, if you are completely triggered, it might not be the time to do that. You might have to ask for help. 25 keys to healing from narcissistic abuse. Oh, yeah. Before that, you might want to check out my gray walling method when you're forced to co-parent with one, just to get an idea how to build that castle wall around your soul, around your psyche. The keys to healing. Here are some identifiable items to address to break free and remain free of narcissistic abuse. No, this isn't a scientifically proven healing method. If you need therapy, if you need proven methods, please find them. Please get professional help for any mental health crisis that you're in and your doctor's referral for any severe depression that might need medicine. Don't judge yourself. This stuff is really hard and difficult. But key number 1, take responsibility for your own healing. This is self-responsibility. Key number 2, take responsibility for all aspects of your needs. This is self-sourcing. Number 3, take responsibility for your education on all things narcissist. Knowledge is power. You immunize yourself, just like getting a flu shot before flu season. You can know what the attack or attacks might be, or know what the names of them are. Number 4, cut all ties, emotional, energetic, financial, and otherwise, to the narcissist. Detach. Learn to detach. Read a whole book on detachment. Find out how to detach. I do have a 3 keys to detaching on my co-parenting blog, my codependency blog, I mean. Number 5, label your mistakes. Name them, call them out, learn from them. Generate self-awareness. If you learn from these mistakes, you don't keep remaking them. You start writing down your lessons, insights, and clarity. You can journal. Number 6, be willing to fully grieve the past, the loss of the narcissist, the dream of the family, and any other fantasies you held. Number 7, fortify yourself with a lawyer or legal guidance for protection or an expert on narcissists or narcissistic abuse. Number 8, do a personal recovery program, committing to stop codependency, like getting into Coda, or if he's a drinker, trying out Al-Anon. Number 9, obtain individual therapy or DV counseling. Call a few domestic violence agencies to see, some in your area, some not in your area, who would take your phone calls or help you if your custody case is really a DV case. Number 10, seek energy healing work like Reiki, sound therapy, and others. Like, this is an energetic problem and it goes deep. So energetically, if we can find a way to shift, some people like to just go to concerts. That helps their energy. Some people like Qigong, other things besides Reiki. There's other healing methods. Find something. But remember, if you're healing, you're vulnerable, so don't be naive, and don't put anybody on a pedestal that's a healer. Watch out for spiritual narcissists. Number 11, do daily exercise to burn off stress, fear, and inertia. I had to do this because that fight and flight, fear, feign, fake, freeze response is so strong. I had to push myself to take a walk daily because thinking about my court case or my child would put me into an emotional paralysis of some sorts. Key 12, find a higher power or develop some spirituality to lean on, something bigger than the narcissist and more powerful than corrupt court professionals. I'm not going to say who God or what a higher power is for you. It could just be just love energy, the universe, or it could be your religion that you practice. 13, practice self-partnering. Who are you trying to partner with? I found myself trying to partner with other dads to get strength, but I really needed to self-partner. Key 14, get at least one expert on narcissists in your corner. Even if it means you watch videos of an expert explaining it. But if you can personally get someone who will hear your story and walk through it with you, they say that some of the problem, if you share it, can get halved. So cutting it in half. Number 15, commit to learning to respect and love yourself. If you don't, you've got to learn how. You've got to take those esteemable steps, make esteemable acts, just like Cleaning out your car is an esteemable act. Going to the gym, an esteemable act. One esteemable act after another is like building a brick wall. Number 16, make a total commitment to practicing self-care. You will need self-care, and in the end, I'll suggest you write a self-care plan. Number 17, make a personal vow of self-respect. If you write in your journal, I will respect myself from now going forward because I know I need to. I need this for me and I need this for my children or child. Key 18, have a willingness to change. You might have been wanting the narcissist to change forever, but are you willing to change? I've noticed that changing myself is so hard and difficult. I don't know why I ever thought I could change someone else. Changing myself has been very challenging, but worthwhile. Key 19, have a willingness to do the self-work on an ongoing basis. Don't just think you could do it one and done and not face it again. You might have to just find places that you can go regularly. Key 20, we realize in the heroine's journey, we kind of must die, quote unquote, not actually die, to the old self and be born again like the phoenix who rises up out of the ashes. And this is about change. We change. Because when we change, it changes the whole dynamic. Key 21, understand that codependency is not love, it's fear. Key 25, refuse to do anything out of desperation ever again. And here's some bonus keys. Key 26, seek allies, sponsors, mentors, and guides on the hero's journey or the heroine's journey. These are part of the steps and stages, getting those people. Key 27, fully face and resolve any crippling fear of loneliness. This is where the having a higher power or something spiritual to hold on to so you're never alone. You're always with that higher power can be so helpful. Key 28, find a yoga or dance class or practice for the somatic healing. Music and movement can really help move out all that stuck energy and fear. Key 29, regularly listen to uplifting, empowering music. This is part of sound healing. Key 30, listen to calming affirmations at night, self-soothing technique. I love Louise Hay and her 101 power thoughts for life, or any of her things before she passed away. She was really good with affirmations. You could even write your own affirmations down, record them, and play them back to you, which is a brilliant idea. Key 31, practice self-forgiveness. Write an I forgive you letter to yourself, address it to yourself, signed from yourself. Very powerful, might make you cry. Those tears could be cleansing and healing. It's always good to have that holy witness. I talk about somebody that you could share that to that will just listen and witness your transformation. Key 32, learn and label the lessons learned rather than be angry with yourself over mistakes. We will make mistakes as moms. Mistakes are for learning. And another key to healing is ask for help and support. Asking for help is actually a sign of strength, not weakness, like the narcissist might say. Save your soul from narcissistic abuse. As you can see, healing from narcissistic abuse is more than threefold and often takes multiple healing modalities, efforts, and programs. It can take years to implement systems of support, the support you need for your healing journey and full recovery. I had mentors, sponsors, fellowships, spiritual wisdom, study group members, therapists, TV counselors, and more. My whole life healed from all the holes in my foundation or the lack of foundation. My asking for help was a sign of strength, not weakness. Being resourceful led me to resources. The heroine's journey has several steps, which include generating allies and having traveling companions for part of the journey. Become the hero you need today. First, save yourself from lack of support. You may have trust issues, but those can be healed too. You may want to start trusting safely in small increments. You might try trusting people in small ways at first with those that are safe, reputable, and professional. Healing professions are very caring or are credentialed. Remember, we teach ourselves what we need to learn. In our healing journey from narcissistic abuse, we save our own souls. No one does this for us. We go full circle from an ordinary, unsuspecting woman down into the dark cave of despair to do battle with our own fears. Just know that when we come back from our journey, We have maybe a book to share with our community, and that's our healing. Key to healing, do the necessary self-work. It's a key to a full recovery. Acceptance is the answer. When we struggle by not accepting what happened to us, we push against reality. Fully accepting reality doesn't mean we accept unacceptable behavior. Acceptance can mean accepting that abuse happened and we need to heal from it. Have you accepted that you endured narcissistic abuse? Have you accepted that you were a different person back then and couldn't do better with the limited knowledge you had at the time? Have you accepted that you need to change or that you have changed? Have you accepted that healing is your task? Our healing makes us emotionally available to our struggling children. Special note, it's possible for some things we may never fully heal. Healing might be beyond our limits or capacity on certain subjects. I always tell moms, accept your limits. Please don't suffer over your suffering and add to the suffering. Accept your limits and make some sort of peace. Some peace is better than no peace. With non-acceptance, we suffer. Realize that your approval is not given when you have acceptance. We don't have to approve of what happened. We just have to accept the facts and stay in reality. When we deal in reality, we have a chance to clean up our lives of abuse and abusive people. Fantasy is an escape. Denial is a coping mechanism. When we heal, we stay in reality, out of fantasy, and can be emotionally available to our children who need us. Key to healing, keep your reasons for healing in mind. Keep your reasons for healing from narcissistic abuse in the front of your mind. These are suggested self-work, self-reflection, journaling assignments. You can stop, use your journal, write these down. Ask yourself the question, what will it take for me to heal from narcissistic abuse? Sit still. Set aside time to write whatever comes up. Listen to your inner knowing, inner self, and inner teacher for guidance. Make an I survived list and keep it handy for any bouts of self-doubt. Write an apology letter to yourself. Very powerful tool. Worthwhile endeavor. I wrote several. Make a list of things you will do to make amends to yourself going forward. Not just this apology, but what are you going to do differently so you don't self-harm again? You can write an I forgive you letter from yourself to yourself. Email it to yourself and read it. That can also generate some tears. Write up a self-care plan for yourself. And I'm not saying you be your own doctor here. This isn't be your own therapist or psychiatrist, but a self-care plan. Sometimes only you know what you need. Do what works for you. And it's okay if it's different than the things that I mentioned. It might be a run. It might be a bike ride. It might be a daily walk. And then start building your team of support. I am glad you reached this far, as it is a sure sign of your smarts and strength. Often we need multiple support people when we are forced into ongoing dealings with a narcissist. I wouldn't use my therapist as a lawyer, for example. Support people can be a therapist, recovery program sponsor, mentor, DV counselor, and more. It's good to interview whoever you select for support to see if they're familiar with narcissistic abuse, post-separation abuse, legal abuse by proxy, CPSD, PTSD, and the effects of dealing with a narcissistic or personality disordered person. Don't assume everyone gets it. Remember, not all therapists are created equal, and remember not to rely on just one person for this entire journey. I had several therapists and support people at different stages. Depending on your insurance, depending on where you live, there'll be various options, but be proactive. Get a team of 10 in place for those times you find yourself needing to be restored to common sense, logic, and reasonability. Holding emotional sobriety can be tough in crisis situations or when there are major decisions to make. Be proactive in recruiting support. Call around and don't fear rejection. Become resourceful. Get therapy recommendations from some local DV agencies who are familiar with narcissists and abusers. Even if there's no DV or you don't qualify, you can still call them and ask for therapy referrals. In the meantime, While you're scouting your options for individual confidential support, you can attend free, helpful 12-step recovery programs like Al-Anon, ACOA, or CODA by phone or virtual. These meetings are all hours of the day and every day of the week. You may want to commit to one meeting a day for 90 days. Many of us qualify if our ex is a narcissist and a drinker for Al-Anon, or if we became codependent, check out CODA. There's even a program for adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families called ACOA. If we come from a dysfunctional family, there will be a lack of support and such from our parents. We will need help to become our own loving parent, as that program says, to turn our lives around and see what we are worth. When dealing with a trouble-causing narcissist, sometimes our own parents don't have the emotional support to give or become too emotional about things themselves and end up unhelpful. Friends tend to get burned out by the drama. This is why I stress support. We can cut our stress in half when we share it with another person who is safe. Key to healing: be proactive in gathering supporters for your healing journey. Often, those who wait are too late. This is why I say be proactive. When you're on the emotional cliff on the ledge and there's nobody to call on your list, a team of 10, because you don't have a team of 10, you might do something that harms your custody case, or you might lash out at the narcissist and then he's got evidence against you. The importance of emotional support is crucial to survival and overcoming the problems that go with dealing with a narcissist as a co-parent. Gathering outside support is what many of us need to stay strong and stay standing and sane. Start making a self-care plan and a support plan. And I suggest writing this list of team of 10, getting these people in your life. So my example was a good family law lawyer, great source of support, called him all the time. My second lawyer, when it was ice storms outside and he demanded his visitation. How do I decline that without being in contempt of court? How do I ask to reschedule? How do I know if it's in a state of emergency declared by the state, which would give me credibility with any unilateral decision? Use that good family law lawyer. A DV counselor, an Al-Anon sponsor, confidential therapist, fellowship friends, they can be on your list. Trusted pastor. Be careful of spiritual narcissists who like attention and being at the podium. So it'd have to be a humble, trusted pastor, a local women's spiritual group or church group, other moms and parenting groups. If you go to parenting classes at the Free Family Resource Center, a parenting coach or a life coach, you can find them online everywhere, but make sure they understand narcissists or custody battles with a narcissist, or a custody battle strategist or coach like me. When I needed expert help, I hired life coaches who specialize in narcissistic abuse syndrome and custody battles with sociopaths. So find your team. I believe you can do it with help. So thank you so much for watching part 2. You're welcome to come over to my website, read some of my blogs. Many are free. If there's any crises that you're currently having that go beyond, find the American Psychological Association crisis hotlines or national hotlines. Find Al-Anon at www.alanon.org or CODA at www.coda.org. Those programs that are out there for you. These are some of my blogs, and I talk about grief as being one of the ways to heal from narcissistic abuse. Subscribe to my free newsletter for moms. Find my free trauma bond video if you're doing that video next. And you can find my 11 video, I call it the basics course, of just talking you down into sanity and logic when dealing with a crazy man. It's called Navigate the Narcissist co-parenting video course. If you are forced to coexist and you can't eliminate the narcissist from the co-parenting journey, my guide, my videos cover some things. Bring a notebook. Self-awareness is key. I always had to deeply reflect and take a step back on my case, because when I was in it, it was heightened, it was emotional. But when I stepped out, I could see things from a bigger perspective. I could pull the camera back and see all the players and what was happening. Remember, you're going to need strategies. Look for that video. Strategies for dealing with the narcissist. It's going to be strategies in multiple ways. A documentation strategy, a support strategy, a legal strategy, a defense strategy, an offense strategy. Many moms don't attack the narcissist. They don't have an offense strategy. They don't have any leverage. They have a defense. And when you're on the defense, it can make us look guilty. So be careful with that. A parenting strategy, a communication strategy. And there's my Get the Right Lawyer guide. I have a lot of reasons why. You can check my blog, 11 reasons to get a lawyer when dealing with a narcissist in a custody battle, or be proactive and consult with the best family law lawyer in your area. And then it's a conflict of interest. Your ex can't hire that person. So think strategically, even if you're not currently in a custody battle with a narcissist. What tends to happen is if we push their money button for child support at college, they push our custody button. And becoming empowered, getting legal support and representation, because often our child custody case is only as good as our attorney. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you read some of my tips, tools, and strategies in my first, second, third, and fourth book, and get your help and your strategies with your lawyer. So you can strategize how to use your lawyer with a coach, but then the ultimate strategies have to run through your lawyer. You don't want to be harming a strategy that your lawyer is using. For example, if you're asking for supervised visits, you may not want to be giving more unsupervised time to the narcissist, doing your own strategy of appeasing him. That can all be used against you. So run this all by your lawyer and make sure it's all logical. And my lawyer always said the cool head always wins, and everything I do has to be reasonable. So please check with your lawyer when you're making strategies. Thank you so much for watching. This is author Grace Wroldson. You can like and subscribe. This is the fourth book, How to Survive a Custody Battle with a Narcissist. It has my 20-question attorney interview worksheet in my Get the Right Lawyer guide. Go in with this filled out and ready. So many moms who use this go to their lawyer and it's all filled out and they're ready to ask the questions. And the lawyer's so surprised. They're like, wow, how do you know what to do? How do you know any of this? You are very well prepared, and preparation is a key to success. So use that guide. And I always say to moms, expect the unexpected. It can be very stressful. So don't assume that they won't take you to court or you won't end up in court. I would assume that maybe someday it would end up in court, even if it's already been in court. Narcissists tend to be in court. They cause lots of legal woes and troubles for themselves and others. So the stage of the narcissist, if they can't get your attention, they'll often try to get attention in family court and win. They will accuse you of things, and that's so traumatic to be falsely accused of things. Just know that when a narcissist is accusing you of things, usually it's projection. They're projecting their issues and what they're doing onto you. So watch for that. There's ways to document this in an organized way. So know that this can happen. Be educated on the process. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you watch my Navigate the Narcissist video course, and please comment below what was the most helpful thing I taught today in this part 2 of how to heal from narcissistic abuse. What was the most eye-opening? If you comment, I really appreciate knowing what was most helpful for the moms of my groups or watchers of my videos. Thank you so much. Remember to learn, heal, and outgrow the narcissist. Save your sanity, save your custody case, and enjoy your child's one and only childhood. This is author Grace Wroldson.